Welcome to Pilates for Runners and day one of your 7-day challenge. Each day is going to focus on different things. Today we're going to focus on core. It's a really good one to start with because obviously it's fundamental to Pilates and it's fundamental to maintaining a good running form. So remember, when we're talking about the core, we're talking about a group of muscles that are deep inside the body that are working together to stabilize your pelvis and your spine. So we're going to focus on activating through one of those muscles, and because they're all linked with connective tissue, that's going to engage all of them and we're going to be able to keep a nice stable center. So if we find our hip bones, walk the fingertips in and then walk them down and just dig in there. That's the muscle we're going to use to activate. So we're going to draw a big breath in through the nose. And then we're going to tighten those muscles under our fingertips as tight as they'll go. So pulling them all the way in. And then we're going to release them slowly as we exhale. And again, big breath in. This time you're just going to tighten them halfway. Still going to release them as you exhale because it's still a little bit too strong to maintain. And again, big breath in. Pause at the top and you're just going to pull in a third of the way. So it feels quite light, but that is enough to stabilize your pelvis and your spine, but it shouldn't feel so difficult to hold that you can't move or breathe comfortably. And those are my top 2 tips for your core work as a runner. 1, be able to breathe comfortably the whole time. And secondly, you want to go for endurance. So you want to be able to hold that gentle connection for a good period of time. So make sure when you're doing this session, you're working at a level that you can maintain that endurance. So let's crack on. So we're going to start this session down on the mat. We're going to come onto our forearms to start. Nice and relaxed through the body. Elbows are going to come underneath our shoulders, palms flat to the floor. We're going to start by activating through the shoulders. So drawing the shoulder blades down and together, the chest lifts away from the floor, and we want to hold this position in the upper back. So maintain that. We're going to use those lower abdominal muscles to scoop in. So we're drawing the ribs and hips together, pulling up from underneath, so that we bring the bottom level with the shoulders, where we're going to pause for an in-breath, and then we're going to slowly lower back down. You can do the same thing again. Scoop in the tummy, draw the ribs and hips towards each other, pause at the top, and then slowly release. And again, scoop in. Now you should feel like you can comfortably hold this position for a good period of time. So you can breathe comfortably, you can feel those lower abdominals pulling in, and you can feel the ribs and hips pulling towards each other, but it shouldn't feel unmaintainable. If it is, stick with just pulling up, pausing, and then lowering down. If you are able to maintain it comfortably, I'm going to add a little bit more work for the core. We're going to drop the hip down to one side, come back to center, drop it down the other way. So the shoulders stay nice and strong. They're going to stay down away from the ears. We're going to keep the belly scooping in, so the ribs and hips draw towards each other. Tap, tap. Good. Don't let the bottom come up any higher than the head. And if you want to make this more challenging, you're going to tuck the toes, straighten through the legs, and so you can do this from a full plank position. Same thing though, you should be able to breathe comfortably. Should be able to keep that nice tuck of the tailbone, ribs and hips pulling towards each other. And because we're going for endurance, if you find you're starting to struggle, just come down onto your knees again, or just go back to just scooping and lifting so that you can carry on moving and you're not having to take that rest. Keep it up. Good. We're going to do 30 seconds more. Remember, ribs and hips pulling towards each other. Tailbone tucking under. Good, last 15. Bring it down a level if you need to and carry on. Good, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the knees down, just rest down for a second. Take a big breath in, and then we're going to pull up again. So tuck the tailbone around the spine so that you tuck the tailbone under. And then from here, we're going to push up so we come into a kneeling plank position. From here, we're going to extend the leg out behind and lift. Bring it back in. Do the same on the other side, lift. So you want to keep the tailbone tucking under so we don't take the weight back into a box position. And we're squeezing into the glutes to get that leg to lengthen and lift. If you want to make this more challenging, again, tuck the toes, come into a full plank, lift and lower. And just a little scan down your body. Shoulders should be drawn back and down. Ribs and hips drawing towards each other. Comfortably being able to breathe. Lower abs pulling in. Remember, you can always come back down to an easier plank position, so kneeling plank if it becomes too much, so that you can carry on. We've got 15 seconds more. Good, last few. Good, bring the knees down. This time we're going to open the knee out, or the leg out, sorry, so that it's level with the other one. Lift the hand to the ceiling. Come down, back into that kneeling plank. Go the other way, so the legs are in line. Balance and lift that arm. Come down, lengthen, lift. So you come through that kneeling plank position, make sure the tailbone stays tucked. You don't take the weight back and you don't let the belly drop to the floor. And again, if you want to make this harder, tuck the toes, come into a full plank, and then you work from there. And that way, when you're in the full plank, you can just let the ankles roll. You don't need to lift the foot up and take it in line with the other one. Come into that plank position, go the other way. And again, just checking that you're breathing comfortably, that you're still maintaining a plank in the middle, you're not lifting the bottom up, you're not letting the belly sag. Good. Lift. You don't need to rush between the positions. Move with control. Like I say, always be checking on your breathing, checking on your form. Good, we're on the last 20 seconds. Bring it down a level if you need to for these last few. Good. Last 5 seconds. Come back to the center, knees down, weight back for a second, have a little stretch, and then come up, sweep the legs round. We're going to come onto our forearms again, but with them behind us. If this is a really uncomfortable position that you can't maintain, then your easier option would be to come flat to the floor, okay? Pull the elbows back so they're behind the shoulders, not in front of them. And then from there, feet and knees come to hip distance. We're going to find that neutral again. So we're going to draw the shoulders down away from the ears. We're going to lift the lower back. So we're not sagging to the floor, but we're not arching up either. So finding that midpoint. And then we're going to hold that position through the body. So those lower abdominals draw in again. We're going to lift up one leg. We're going to extend it away. Tap the foot as far away as you can. Take it up to the ceiling without flattening the back towards the floor. So we get a lovely hamstring stretch. All the way down. Bring it in. Switch sides. Lift. Tapping away. All the way up. All the way back down again. And in. And like I said, the focus is on keeping the pelvis and the lower back really still. If you want to make this more challenging, lift your heels off the floor so your toes are barely touching. So obviously the weight of the legs is going to make it harder to hold that stillness through the center. And if you want to make it really challenging, bring one leg up, other leg up, and work from there. So tap the heel away, all the way up, all the way back down, and then in. And remember, you're checking the body the whole time. You can breathe comfortably. Your lower abs are pulling in. So remember when we checked at the start, they were pulling away from our fingertips. They should still be doing the same thing. If you feel like they're pushing up towards the ceiling, it's probably a bit too strong for you. So just come down a level and work a little bit lower. Good, we're just going to make these last two to each side. Good, last ones. And in, bring the feet down one at a time. We're going to push up. Arms are going to come out in front. Still hip distance with the knees. Now lift the rib cage up and away from the hips so you're sitting as tall as you can. Draw the shoulders back and down. Those lower abdominals gently connect in again. And we're just going to hinge back so we keep that lovely length through the spine. Pause. We're going to open the knees out wide, bring them back into hip distance, and then hinge back up. Hinge, hold, open, close, and back up. And if you want to make these more challenging, take the weight out of the feet so you've got the toes really light on the floor. And then same thing, open, close, back up. And this is great for us runners because you're also getting a little bit of hip flexor work along with the core and abs. If you want a little bit more, come back. As you open the knees, open the arms up to the ceiling or lift the arms to the ceiling. Come back, hinge. Back, hold the hinge, open, back and up. Really lengthen the spine here so you're not rolling back, it's a hinge from the hips. Good, breath flowing. Good, these are last 30 seconds. Good, lift the ribs away from the hips, nice and tall. Feel that lovely burn in the hip flexors as well as the core and abs. Good, last 15. Remember, pull in with those lower abdominals. If they're starting to push away, bring it down a level. Last one here. Thank goodness. Come back, bring it up and just roll forwards. Give yourself a little bit of a breather. And your first 10 minutes is done.